Bali has a big trash problem. Thousands and thousands of tonnes of waste are being created each and every day.
This is what 1 week's worth of that trash build-up into the river looks like.
The rubbish is piling up. Trash is tossed into fields, rivers and rice paddies. The landfills are overflowing and many are burning or dumping their waste.
Bali is in a state of crisis when it comes down to waste management.
Sampah di Bali memang menjadi salah satu masalah atau polemik terbesar.
Bali wants to handle its waste more sustainably, but right now it's drowning in trash. With such enormous pressure from tourism and waste management systems that haven't kept pace with that growth, can the island of the gods fix its waste crisis?
In the southeast of Bali lies a sprawling eyesore. This is the Swanston landfill. It's about 10 stories high and receives more than 1,000 tonnes of trash every day.
If you've been to Bali, chances are your trash ended up in here.
Bali generates about 3,500 tonnes of waste every day. That's the same as 300 fully loaded garbage trucks. 60 to 70% of that is organic waste, and much of the rest is plastic.
Officials say the Swanston landfill has been over capacity for years, and coming here and standing on this mountain of trash, it's easy to agree with them.
Beyond being far too full, it's causing major environmental problems. The landfill is a major emitter of methane, and there's concerns over contaminated liquid or leachate escaping into nearby waterways. But the trash keeps on coming. Tourists generate far more waste than the average resident, and the number of foreign visitors has almost tripled in the last 15 years. 7 million foreign tourists came last year, 1.5 million of them Australian. That's on top of the 9 million Indonesian tourists that arrived last year. At any given time, hundreds of thousands of tourists are on the island.
The waste problem is quite simply out of control.
Bali has had a problem with trash for many, many years.
The tourists pour in, the rubbish is piling up and spilling over, and it's turning these environmentally sensitive mangroves into a putrid swamp that stinks to high heaven.
Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto said even foreign leaders had been complaining.
Dia bilang, Your Excellency, I just came from Bali. Oh, Bali is so dirty now. Bali, not nice.
After warning it would close Swanston for years, in April, Bali's provincial government closed it to organic waste. But with nowhere for that waste to go, the government was forced to backtrack and partially reopened it. Environmental groups say the partial closure of Swanston caused chaos and confusion, which led to much more illegal dumping of waste.
We're picking through, a lot of single-use plastic bags, single-use food wrappers, but I would say just a lot of, different plastic bags. We cleaned here 3 months ago, and so it's back again, but much bigger volumes.
Gary Benshagib runs environmental NGO Sungai Watch.
We are currently in one of our sorting facilities here in Denpasar, Bali, and this is one of the facilities where we can sort roughly 3 tons of plastics collected from Bali's rivers, open dumps. Back in the 70s, 80s, everything was organic, and so the throwing away mindset was so normal for people. Everything was wrapped in banana leaves. You would dump it in the back of your house and it would degrade organically. But since the introduction of plastics, there was such a big awareness gap and people just weren't told about the bad effects of plastic pollution.
Since the partial closure of Swanston landfill, what are you noticing?
The last 2 months we've seen people piling up their trash on the side of the streets, burning it at night because nobody was picking it up, just so much confusion. You know, the burning is something that can affect our health. People have been complaining about the smells, and I think at the moment when you're driving around on your motorbike, you are experiencing really unpleasant fumes, especially in the evenings.
Bali's government has for a while now wanted communities and regencies, kind of like local councils, to deal with waste themselves, but this is the result. Communities have set up landfills on community land because they don't have the answers themselves of what to do with rubbish. In fact, we're actually standing on a former landfill. Soil was put on top of this, and this is the waste that's built up just in the last few months.
After we sent the local regency questions about this dumping site, they quickly moved to clean it up, with the waste taken to Suwung.
The sun's just rising here in Bali, and we've joined the early morning trash pickup of one organic waste business. Since Suwung partially closed, it's businesses and the local regencies or local governments that have had to scramble to pick up the slack.
Landfill itu seperti satu-satunya tempat sampah yang memang diandalkan oleh masyarakat di Bali, khususnya saat itu. Dan ketika tutup, memang itu seperti itu pukulan telak. Masyarakat dipaksa mencari solusi.
Buya Azmedia Istiklal is an urban biologist who started a composting waste management company. He's part of a wave of businesses and NGOs racing to find solutions to Bali's waste crisis. Businesses like this one take food scraps and organic waste from restaurants and households, and in return supplies them with compost. His business has surged in the last few months, but says there's still a long way to go.
Tapi sekali lagi kita sudah terbiasa sama sistem yang lama, yang ujung-ujungnya juga hanya menumpuk sampah di landfill yang efeknya negatif buat lingkungan dan sosial. Jadi barangkali masyarakat Bali secara khusus mesti siap sama transformasi ini.
Bali introduced a single-use plastic ban on certain products back in 2019. Bans have become progressively stronger, but an onslaught of plastic keeps on coming. Recycling NGO Gria Luhu is working to tackle plastics alongside the ban.
Kalau untuk di masyarakatnya sendiri tentu tantangan terbesarnya adalah mengubah mindset ya, atau mengubah perilaku, karena ketika kita bicara masyarakat, perilaku itu bukan sesuatu yang bisa diubah dalam waktu singkat, dalam waktu 1 hari, 1 bulan, ataupun 1 tahun.
Bali will need business, government and the community to work together to solve its waste crisis. Work will soon begin on a waste-to-energy plant, a massive incinerator that'll divert much of Bali's waste, but it'll take years to be completed. In the meantime, the question confronting the provincial government is whether to keep the overflowing, harmful Suwung open or to close it and force alternative solutions to speed up.
Although we're trying to stay optimistic on the ground, there is no certainty that whatever may happen with Suwung or the trash waste management will be a success. I think we're just trying to push from the grassroots level, making sure that we have the right support of the people. At the end of the day, the real problem with waste management is one that we all bear,